I'm always late to doing videos like this. I really, I don't know why. I think I've got like a real like procrastination problem because like I had the idea to write this script like 3 days ago, and I didn't write the script until midnight. So, all right. So the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks have made it to these NBA Finals in 2021. Um, I can't say that I'm too shocked that Phoenix made it. I can't lie. Phoenix was a good team. They were a solid team all season. If you've watched any amount of their games, they've looked like champions for a good amount of the season, if you ask me. Even with the Jazz out there doing their thing, and they were out there dominating, and they were hitting all these record margin of threes. It never really seemed like they were like the clear favorite. But for some reason, that team in Phoenix, when you looked at them last year, and they had the bubble situation where they were 8-0 in the bubble and they missed the playoffs, you knew they were going to come back this year ready to do something. But you didn't think they would come here and do all of this shit. But I guess the addition of a Chris Paul would do that to you. The Milwaukee Bucks, on the other hand, I will straight up say I'm surprised they were able to make it this far. Granted, when I take a look back at their playoff run, they really didn't have that hard of a run. Like they faced a shell of a Miami Heat team that made it to the finals last year. I might say their biggest battle was really against the Nets, but even they weren't healthy. But if you watch the Bucks at all over the last couple of years, you know that there was like a common trend that happened with them when it came to the playoffs. They were always a great regular season team, but when it came down to the playoffs, they just flamed out. Their players constantly just didn't show up to play. And they definitely changed that this year. Starting with the head of their snake, Giannis. Giannis definitely came through and he hooped and he played really well. And when you look at and it just trickled down from there. You got Chris Middleton, their new addition, Jrue Holiday. He came out, he did what he had to do. Brook Lopez decided that he wanted to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the playoffs. So the team that looked like they were ready to make a finals run years ago, it looks like they finally have made it happen in this year of 2021. Let's talk about what's going on, guys. Your boy Up Next Joe. In the motherfucking building. I'm not even sure if I'm going to go by Up Next Joe on this page because this is not the Up Next page. This is the basketball page. We're talking all things hoop over here. So make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I want to have conversation about this shit in the comments with you guys because if we ain't talking about and arguing about basketball, then what the fuck is we really talking about? All right, like I said, leave a like, comment. Let's get into it. All right, so with all the injuries that obliterated these NBA finals and literally took away another LeBron and KD finals from us, they brought us a new matchup. The new young upstart Phoenix Suns, led by a 36-year-old not named LeBron James, is in the finals against a Milwaukee Bucks team that, like I said before, many of us believe should have already been here a couple of years ago. But for whatever reason or not, they did not. Their failure is ultimately coming from the shortcomings of their two-time MVP and their quote-unquote best player. I'm going to tell you why. There's quotes there in a minute. The Milwaukee Bucks team that many of us have seen crash and burn in the playoffs has finally made it to the finals. After all the shortcomings that came with developing a young star player like Giannis and having to find the correct surrounding pieces around him to make him the guy that can lead you to a finals, they will finally have been able to put that together. Now listen to you guys. Listen to me. I'm gonna keep it a whole beat with you. I don't want these NBA finals. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have to be the guy. I'm sorry that I'm not happy for Chris Paul. I'm not happy for the Suns that they were able to make it this far. I'm not happy that the Bucks were able to overcome their demons and, you know what I'm saying, make it to a finals. I don't care. I honestly do not care. I personally would have much rather had Brooklyn face one of the LA teams. It didn't even matter which one, honestly. If there was Lakers, I would have took that. If it was the Clippers, I would have loved to watch that. Cause I just feel like a Brooklyn versus either of the LA team series just would have been a better showcase of the game of basketball. I'm not gonna lie. Just when it comes down to what I like to watch in a final series, I like to watch the best players in the league fight it out for 7 games. We don't get to see it that often. The fact that we got fucking 2 superstars in opposite conferences, they only play twice a year. And of course, with this year, they didn't even play twice a year because they were hurt all the time. But you know what I'm saying? It's something I personally wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? But I know nobody gives a fuck what I want to see. So the matchup that we did get, even though I didn't want it, I'm not necessarily upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying in the intro, if you watch the Phoenix Suns this year, you're not surprised that they made it this far. If you watch the Phoenix Suns in this playoff run, especially, you are not surprised they made it this far. Yes, they caught a couple of breaks when it comes to injury, but listen, if you're the type of person who thinks that the Phoenix Suns only made it this far because of injuries, you are an idiot. I hate to be the one to tell you. I hate to be that guy. I hope that we don't have to like disrespect each other on this channel. But like, you're that's not smart. Why would you sit up here and say some stupid shit like that? If you watch the games, this team has been a championship team literally the entire season. They have been in the top 3 of the West the entire season. And when these playoffs started, when you look at what they've been doing and how they've played each matchup, they have clearly been the better team. There's not much debate you can make there. They have been the better team. When they played against LA, even when LeBron and AD were healthy, they were the better team. Yes, LA was able to come through and win 2 games, right? But when it came down to it in the NBA playoffs, the thing with basketball is that the better team always wins. Regardless of injury, the better team always finds a way to make it to the top. And that's another thing what happened. That's another thing that happened this year. You know what I'm saying? So Devin Booker and Chris Paul they've been fucking ridiculous this whole playoff run. I can't even lie. After Chris Paul fucked up his shoulder and he wasn't able to play basketball for a couple of weeks, he decided that he was tired of being the laughing stock. He was tired of being the one of the best players without a ring. And he said, you know what? Fuck this bullshit. I'm going to go and get me a championship. And he took Devin Booker, a guy who was hungry. If you're a fan of Devin Booker, you are excited for this man to be here because this is just a stage that just seems like it was made for Devin Booker. He seems like a big stage kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, when he was on Kentucky, when he played for the University of Kentucky, they had him coming off the bench, and even coming off the bench in those tournament games, he was a big playmaker. He made plays, you know what I'm saying? You could just tell that when this guy gets to the league and he has the opportunity to defend himself, an opportunity to make the most out of an opportunity for his team, he will come through and he will do something for you. I just think that when you look at this team and you see how they were able to dominate the Lakers after AD went down, they were able to dominate the Nuggets the entire series. Like, that series really was not even close. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that series for me it showed me a little bit. Now I understand that I understand that Denver was not 100%. Denver was a shell of themselves to an extent. You know what I'm saying? But for them to come out and for them to put their foot on their neck like that and not even give them a chance with the reigning MVP on their team, that kind of says something to me. Because when you're looking for the team that you think is going to be the champion, you know, oh my God. When you're looking for the team that you think that is going to be the champion, there's a certain look. There's a certain look that comes with it. They're a team that doesn't let other teams hang around. They're a team that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? They move militantly. They move with the objective that, like, you know, we're not here to play any games. We're here to dominate. And if you look at how they won each game, how they closed out each series, they closed it out in dominating fashion. They closed it out in a sense to say, like, y'all not fucking with us. And we're going to put you out your misery right now. When they got to Game 6, Devin Booker was like, when they got to Game 6 against the Lakers, Devin Booker was like, I'm not going to even give you the opportunity to get this to a Game 7, to even make this a series. He came out and gave you a huge first quarter, game over from that point on. Game 4 against Denver, they come out a little last days ago. They come in, they smack them in the mouth. Blow them out from start to finish. Game over. Game 6 against the Clippers, a game that I personally thought they were going to lose. Out of all their closeout games, I felt like they were going to lose Game 6 and that the Clippers were going to beat them in a Game 7. I'm just gonna keep it being with you. I did not think that after seeing how Paul George was playing and how Reggie Jackson was playing, I just felt like the Clippers to me were the better team in that series. But when it came down to showing that, yo, we belong to be here. We're not a team that got here by accident. We're not only here by the fortune of the injuries. We're here because we're a good team and we're able to win basketball games. And that's exactly what they did. They came out, and Chris Paul who's the guy who honestly needed to have a run like this. He was able to come through in the biggest stage and put on a show. And honestly, that's all you could ever want as a Chris Paul fan. Now, me personally, I'm not really a big Chris Paul fan. Can I say that? Can I be honest with you guys for a second? I'm not really a big Chris Paul fan. I don't think that he's a bad player, for instance. He's actually a really good player. I think he's kind of an asshole. I can say that. I just feel like Chris Paul is kind of a dick sometimes, and it makes it hard to root for him. Like the way that he plays, you know what I'm saying? He's very like indignant and demonstrative on the court, and all that shit is cool. I respect that as a basketball player myself. I get that, but that shit is fucking annoying to a sense, because it's like, it's like you're not that guy, pal. To me, Chris Paul, you're not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Who? Why? Who? Can I talk about DA? Can we talk about DA? I'm going to talk about DA now. All right, so let me talk about my man Deandre Ayton for a minute. Deandre Ayton, I'm not going to lie, he's not a guy that was on my radar the past couple of years. I knew he was number one pick. I knew that he came out of Arizona. I knew that he had the potential to be a very decent NBA starter. I feel like he was a decent he was a good athletic lob threat. He was a decent shot blocker. He had some nice touch around the rim. I feel like he had the ability to be a nice addition to, I'll say, a contender. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that if you had put a Deandre Ayton on a Lakers team instead of Andre Drummond this year, the Lakers probably would have made it regardless of the health of Anthony Davis. I'm just gonna keep it a beat with you there. But what happened in these playoffs shows to me that DeAndre Ayton can compete with anybody in a playoff series. Anybody that you want to put up against him, man. Whether it be Anthony Davis, whether it be Nikola Jokic. I feel like if he had the opportunity to face Joel Embiid, he's not the kind of person that will overperform and that will, you know what I'm saying, be the best big on the court. But he will at least have the ability to match up evenly with any of those players. And I feel like for a Phoenix team who doesn't really have, let me not say that, not for a Phoenix team, but in a league, let me just say, for a league that doesn't really, you know what I'm saying, rely heavily on the use of a healthy, athletic big man, the same as he used to. He's the perfect modern day inclusion that you would want on your team. That'll give you rim running, that'll give you touch around the rim, and that'll give you shot blocking. That's all you want. And he's able to defend down the wings. We saw that in the Clippers series. Terrence Mann and fucking Reggie Jackson were giving everybody fits the entire playoffs. But they ran into DeAndre Ayton, and he was able to nullify that to an extent. But DeAndre Ayton, that's definitely that's a scary guy. That's definitely a guy that if I was a GM, I would want him on my team. And I'm not sure if this year is a contract year for him, but I could see this man getting paid a lot of money very, very soon. All right, now let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, let me preface this. Before I even talk about the Bucks team, I want to talk about Giannis. All right, so if you know me, you know I'm not the biggest Giannis fan in the world. I honestly don't feel like Giannis is that guy. Now, Giannis has definitely showed up in these playoffs. He's done things. He's done more than I expected him to do. In that Game 7 against Brooklyn, he definitely came out and he performed. I expected the man to shrink. I expected Giannis to do Giannis things, to shrink into a puny-sized person and try to do fucking fadeaways and three-pointers and try to do all the things that he's terrible at to try to lead his team. And surprisingly to me, that's not what he did. He played like a true big man. And I feel like it kind of opened the door for other things he'll be able to do down the road. You know what I'm saying? But in the grand scheme of it, I feel like when you compare Giannis to other superstars around the league, skill-wise, Giannis is the worst one. Like, Giannis is not a good shooter. He really doesn't have nice handles. He doesn't have a set post move. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Giannis is out there, it just seems like he's kind of just doing whatever the hell he wants, because, you know, he knows that doing whatever the hell he wants is going to guarantee him 30 and 15. Which, listen, if you can do that, if I had the ability to do that, I'd be in the NBA doing that. I don't got no fucking problem with that. But I just think that when you compare him to other superstars, when it comes to the skills that you it's just a certain look. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain look to the skilled NBA players that they have. Like, you look at the Kevin Durant, you look at the Steph Curry, you look at the LeBron James, even Joel Embiid, just to take away the point that doesn't even have to be a wing player. If you look at those players, you're like, all right, these guys have the ability to do anything on a basketball court. And I feel like Giannis' shortcomings, they are honestly his shortcomings are honestly just so high that it's hard for him to be seen as a legitimate superstar in my eyes. To me, he's more like he's a glorified freak of nature in a league right now that you don't necessarily have to be the most skilled. You can honestly just be athletic and you'll have a spot in the league. All right. So listen, we got that out the way. I'll tell you guys how I feel about Giannis. Let's talk about the Bucks, because I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love the Milwaukee Bucks. They are a very nicely constructed team with a dumb head coach. Mike Budenholzer needs to go. I know he took them to the finals. I know that he brought them to the finals, but he still deserves to be fired, because how do you go 7 games with a Brooklyn Nets team that only has Kevin Durant and 26% of James Harden? James Harden that could not hit an open jump shot. James Harden that struggled to dribble the ball. James Harden who struggled to look even remotely like Houston James Harden from the beginning of this season. You know, the James Harden was averaging 14 points a game when he was in Houston looked better than the James Harden we got in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And for Mike Budenholzer to only have to lead that team, for Mike Budenholzer to only be saved by a Kevin Durant shoestring, it's not enough for me to say that you deserve to keep your job. But the rest of the Bucks, whoever constructed this team, the GM, I'm not sure what their name is over there in Milwaukee, but they did their motherfucking thing. They got Chris Middleton, who I feel like is one of the best two-way players in the entire league. Like he's so underrated. He can hit any shot on the court. He's a fucking mid-range assassin. The dude is a beast. The dude is a player that if you were to put him on any other contending team, I feel like they would have won a championship by now. But the fact that their star player has the shortcomings that they have, it kind of elevates him to a status where he has to play more than what he is. And when you asking Chris Middleton to give you 40 points or ask him to give you 25 plus every single night as a number one, it's kind of tough. You know what I'm saying? But Chris Middleton, Jrue Holiday, Brook Lopez, PJ Tucker, that team is perfectly constructed. They are constructed to be defensive minded first, but when it comes to offense, their offensive ability, they have the firepower to match up with anybody. And you saw it in the Brooklyn Nets. I keep talking about the Brooklyn Nets series, but if we're gonna be honest, I feel like that is the only series that the Bucks have had where you can honestly get a decent judge on their championship ability. You know what I'm saying? Facing Miami Heat, Miami was terrible this year. They were not a good team. They did not have the same spark that brought them to the finals last year. The Hawks were a good story, but I thought that when it came down to it, the Hawks weren't gonna really didn't have much of a chance, especially after Trae Young went down. They didn't have much of a chance to honestly win the Eastern Conference Finals as much as they were to make it competitive. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to talk about the addition that I feel that honestly brought the Milwaukee Bucks to where they are today, and that is not the signing of Giannis to his max contract over this summer. It is the signing and trading of Jrue Holiday. That is the man who this team needed. They needed another playmaker that will come through and that can get them 20 points and that can defend an elite point guard in an East that has elite point guards everywhere you look. If you just these playoffs alone, Jrue Holiday has been asked to guard Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Trae Young. Like that's no feat that you could just kind of like raise your nose at. That is a pretty impressive. That means that they trusted their 6'3" point guard to guard really positions 1 through 5. We're being honest, 1 through 4. If we're gonna give Kevin Durant up to power forward status, 1 through 4, and at the exact same time, his offensive game did struggle this year. He was not the same Jrue Holiday that you saw during the regular season. I keep saying this year as if the playoffs are a new year. He struggled in the playoffs, but offensively. But when it came down to it, when it came down to the buckets, when it came down to the time when you need your best player, and yes, I'm saying Jrue Holiday is the best player on the Milwaukee Bucks. When it's time for your best player to do best player things, he did it. In Game 7 against Brooklyn, he had a terrible first 3 quarters. He had a terrible first 3.5 quarters. For being honest with you, he played shitty from the beginning of the game to like the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. But when it came down to it, when he got his rhythm, when he got a flow going, he was unstoppable. He did everything that the Bucks needed him to do. He got key defensive stops. He hit big buckets on James Harden. He played big, and he's able to get them to help them get to overtime. And once they got to overtime, he handed it over to their closer, Chris Middleton, and Chris Middleton was able to take them to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like they didn't have. I just feel like the mentality in this Bucks team is completely different. This team is like, all right, listen, we've seen it all at this point. We've seen Giannis fall short for us a couple of times now, right? We understand what his shortcomings are. Now, all we need to do now is understand that Giannis is going to give us Giannis numbers every single game. Regardless of how it looks, Giannis is going to give us 30 and 15 every single game. Beautiful. We can already pencil that in, right? Now, all we have to do is just fill in around that. And once we fill in around that, we're given the chance to win, honestly, any game that we play, that we may face. Any opponent we may face during the finals, during the playoffs, we have the ability to beat them in a 7-game series for that fact alone. And that's something that should be honestly commended in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? I like I said, this is not the finals that I wanted, but it's not the finals that I'm upset with. I'm okay that the Milwaukee Bucks were able to finally get to this point, and now they're gonna have a true opportunity to really solidify and put themselves on the map. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if they were able to win this championship, it will take them to a level where it's like people will look at them a little bit more seriously. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I feel like they're looked as a decent team that will continuously flame out at some point. Now, we're not sure where they might fall short these days, but at some point they will fall short. And I feel like winning this title, if they're able to win this title, even with Giannis being hurt, I know I didn't talk about Giannis' injury too much, but if they're able to win this title with Giannis being hurt, then they really have a real opportunity to be a perennial contender. Like, there's contenders and there's like super contenders, but they're going to be like a super contender in the Eastern Conference. So let's talk about what a ring would mean for each of these superstars. For Chris Paul, I feel like it takes Chris Paul to a level where he's honestly I don't think Chris Paul really his I don't feel like his title really changes much. He will always be seen as a great leader who raises the ceiling of any team that he's been on. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like this championship really does as much for Chris Paul as people think it does. Like, I feel like if this championship is what it took for you to move Chris Paul into your top 5 point guards, then I feel like you were just very much underrating him before, because Chris Paul has been a top 5 point guard of all time. I want to for a majority of his career, I'll say. Even after blowing 3-1 leads, even after constantly falling short in LA, in Houston, and all his playoff injuries and playoff woes, he's always been a guy where it's just like, yo, all he needs is one situation to pan out for him, and he can win a championship. So him winning the championship will honestly just solidify wherever you feel about Chris Paul at this point, you will just feel double down on it if he wins the championship. Giannis, on the other hand, It's an odd thing when you talk about Giannis, when you talk about what this championship means for Giannis, because I think it depends how he plays. Like I said, because if Giannis comes out here and he looks hurt and he's like he can't do the same spin moves and get to the rim as effortlessly and do his finger rolls and shit like that, I feel like it really won't mean much to his like his status across the league. He'll still be seen as a superstar player, but he won't be seen in the light of LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Luka or Kawhi. He won't be seen in that light. You know what I'm saying? He'll still be seen as a guy who has so many holes in his game that honestly, I feel like people around the league will honestly look at Giannis and say that, okay, Giannis only made it this far because of injuries to the Brooklyn Nets, way more than people will look at Phoenix and say only Phoenix made it here because of injuries. Does that make sense? I hope so, because it's hard for me to explain it. But yeah, I just feel like Giannis is just like Giannis has his place in a lot of people's mind already, and it would take a change of his play style for them to honestly say that there's a change in Giannis. You know what I'm saying? Devin Booker. Listen, if Devin Booker wins this title, then he will be well on his way to become the next Kobe Bryant, honestly. That's really all you can do. For him and for this playoff run has been fucking incredible for him. He has just been He's honestly just shut people up this entire playoff run. Everybody was talking about that empty stats and he only has good numbers on a bad team. It's like, no, Devin Booker is the kind of player that you can move in anywhere. There's a reason why if he were to become available in trade talks at all when they were bad, teams would have paid arm, leg, and fucking every first round pick that they possibly could to get that guy on the team. Because when you have a guy who can explode for 30 or 70 points on any given night, that's a guy that you need on your team. That's a guy who once you put him in a winning situation, he's going to be the guy that's going to take you where you want to go. You know what I'm saying? So Devin Booker will definitely be well on his way to becoming Kobe Bryant. And listen, if we're being quite honestly, I know he's not a star player, but this championship for Chris Middleton will make him honestly raise his status probably more than it'll raise Giannis's. People honestly look at Chris Middleton as more than just a super efficient two-way player. He'll have a legitimate case to be a star, or he can honestly be seen potentially as a superstar if he's able to keep this up over the next couple of years. But winning a championship, and then if you look at Chris Middleton's playoff run, it's just kind of like it'll just mean more. I feel like it just means more to him. It'll mean more for his, I hate the fucking word legacy, but it'll mean more for his legacy and his status in the league going down the road. Now let's talk predictions. If we're being quite honest with each other, like I said, we're gonna be honest on this channel. I'm gonna have to go with Phoenix in 7. I feel like Giannis is not healthy enough right now, and Phoenix showed this year that if you're gonna beat them, you're gonna want to be healthy or as close to healthy as you could possibly be. And I don't think that 30% of Giannis Antetokounmpo is gonna be enough for them to overcome Chris Paul, healthy Devin Booker, healthy McKellen, Jay Crowder, healthy Cam Johnson, healthy Cameron Payne, healthy DeAndre. The Suns are just playing out of their fucking mind right now. And I feel like it would honestly have to take an injury or somebody playing out of their mind to get them to lose right now. And I don't see that happening. I don't see a situation where Chris Middleton comes out and averages 35 plus for these finals. Or a situation where Jrue Holiday comes in and he gives you 24 a game in these finals. I know that they have the ability to do that, so I'm not going to say that it's outside the realm of possibility, but I just think when you look at their matchup across and what they're going to have to expend on the defensive end, I just don't think it's possible. And if you're not getting a healthy Giannis, then you don't have enough firepower to keep up with this Phoenix team, especially once they get hot, and especially once they get hot in Phoenix, because once they get hot in Phoenix, they are the best basketball team of all time. There's no real comparison there. If you watch them play in Phoenix, they are able to run it up like few teams we've seen before. Probably the best since the Warriors, you know. But listen, it's going to be an exciting series. Don't get me wrong. I feel like this is going to be a great series. I feel like we're going to get some very exciting basketball. We're going to get some very exciting plays. And somebody's going to come out a new champion this year. And it's exciting. I can't lie. After having LeBron James and Steph Curry play every single year for the last 5 years. And listen, I'm only 24, but LeBron has been in the finals for majority of my life. You know what I'm saying? So not seeing LeBron in the finals, just having a new matchup, having something fresh, it's just exciting. I feel like it's good for basketball. It shows that you don't have to have a super team or have to buy a super team in order for you to be a contender. You're able to just take your homegrown players and develop them and take the shortcomings with them, and ultimately you can get to where you want to be. But that's all I got for you guys. Make sure you guys let me know your predictions in the comments below. Let's talk about it. If you feel like Phoenix is going to win, let me know. If you feel like the Bucks are going to win, let me know, and how many games. And we can talk about it in the comment section. I'm going to holler at you guys. See you guys in the next video. Y'all be easy. Stay safe. Stay blessed. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.